Hi, I'm Shashank Bhargava, and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. In this episode, we talk about military accidents and the lack of transparency into their investigations. We also talk about PM Modi inaugurating the Mahakal corridor in Madhya Pradesh. But first, we talk about Mulayam Singh Yadav. On Monday, Yadav, the Samajwadi Party founder and three-time UP Chief Minister, passed away in a hospital in Gurgaon. For the past couple of weeks, his condition had been critical and he was on life-saving drugs. His body was cremated yesterday in Saifai, his native village in Uttar Pradesh, where a large crowd had gathered to pay tributes to him. This included Telugu Desam Party Chief N. Chandrababu Naidu, BJP leader Rita Bhaguna Joshi, and Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath. Now, Yadav had first entered mainstream politics at the age of 28, and over the years, his political career became intertwined with UP's political history. In fact, in many ways, he changed the state politics forever, the results of which are still visible today. In this segment, we speak to Indian Express's Bhupendra Pandey, who has covered UP politics for over 25 years, about Mulayam's career. Bhupendra, Mulayam was actually a wrestler before he got into politics. Could you talk about how he started his career and what that beginning was like?
Yeah, actually, if you talk about his beginning, it happened when he entered into student politics. So that was in early 60s, you may say 62, 63. When he became first time MLA, that was in 67 from Jaswant Nagar seat in Etawah. Actually, that became his traditional seat because he won that seat 8 times. The more important thing is he is the politician who never lost any election, be it assembly poll or be it Lok Sabha. He won Lok Sabha 8 times. He won assembly 8 times. He had been 3 times CM. In Uttar Pradesh politics, he became more vocal and he became known actually in early 80s. Though he was in jail during emergency for more than 19 months when he was part of Chaudhry Charan Singh's party.
Yeah, and in fact, he had gone to jail during the JP movement, which was one of the biggest social movements in modern India and of course had led to the emergency. And then after that, he became a state minister in 1977 and later went on to become the leader of opposition in 1982, which is when he came into prominence. Now, this was a very tumultuous period in UP politics. Could you talk a bit about that time?
Yeah. Actually, Congress remained unbeatable post-independence, of course, in national politics and in state politics as well. So after this JP movement came and the socialism started coming in politics, the common men like Chaudhry Charan Singh and Mulayam Singh Yadav, Hemati Nandan Bahugula, I'm talking about those days, Raj Narayan was there in state politics. So these people who all came from, socialism, as socialist leaders they were known as. So they started making name in UP politics. So Mulayam Singh was one of them. He is known as close confidant of Chaudhry Charan Singh. And it is said that actually Chaudhry Charan Singh brought him in active politics. That is why Mulayam Singh is also known as Dharti Putra.
Yeah, the man of soil basically. But now, during this period he rose in politics was also a time when the other backward classes were also gaining political influence in the state. And the Congress party got sidelined because it was a party that was dominated by upper caste leaders. And they say that Mulayam really tapped into that. In fact, after he became the chief minister in 1989, Congress never returned to power in the state, right?
Yeah, actually, Congress was wiped out after this Mandal thing came. And when in 1989, the Janata Dal was formed with all the opposition parties, they all were part of Janata Dal. So obviously the Congress wiped out not only from state but also from national politics then.
Okay, and when we talk about Mulayam's first chief ministerial stint, it lasted only 2 years because the Janata Dal split both at the center and in the state. And after that, the BJP came to power in UP. But during this time, the Ram Temple movement was going on. And a major development that took place during his chief ministerial term then was the firing at the Car Sevaks. In October of 1989, some car sevaks had gathered in Ayodhya on the call of the VHP, RSS and BJP leaders, and the police opened fire at them. Talk about how that impacted his career.
Yeah, that is the milestone in his politics because Lal Krishna Advani's Rath was approaching Ayodhya. He was stopped in Bihar though, but all the car sevak had gathered there. And it was feared that Babri structure will be attacked. So that was the time when he had ordered firing and so many people were killed in that firing. For that, later he regretted giving that order, but sometime he also said that no, it was required. So that firing on car sevak in 1990, that completely changed, not only changed Mulayam Singh's politics, but also the politics of Uttar Pradesh, which is still exists. That change. Since then, he became leader of Muslim and Yadavs. So that MY factor, that was coined for him only. M for Muslim and Y for Yadavs. Also, he used to be called by opposition like BJP and other parties, Mullah Mulayam, because of that firing at car sevaks.
Okay, so this incident happens during his first stint as a chief minister. And then a few years later, he forms the Samajwadi Party. This was in 92. So does he then get the support of the Muslim base?
Yeah, he got immense support of Muslims. And in 93, he formed the government also with the help of BSP, Kanshiram, second term as CM. Though BSP withdrew the support in 1995 and that infamous guest house incident happened, attack on Mayawati by Samajwadi Party leaders and supporters.
Yeah, and if the car sevak firing was the big controversy in his first stint, the guest house Kand was the big controversy in his second term.
Yeah. It always surrounded Mulayam Singh Yadav, the controversy and politics. But actually, I must say one thing. Actually, he knew the pulse of the voters. And he was also known for recognizing his supporters, his party men. He was known for that. Suppose he is going to any remote district of UP and if he is meeting his supporters, his party men, suddenly he will call someone in the crowd with his name. You come here. So that was the connection between him and the party men.
Yeah, and when talking about controversies and the kind of politician he was, probably the biggest controversy that he got involved in was regarding the comment he made in 2014 when he was opposing the capital punishment for rape, and he said, "Ladke hain, galti ho jati hai. Boys will be boys. They make mistakes."
हमारे जब हो गया तो लड़की जाके ब्याह देती मेरे साथ रेप किया अब बेचारे को 3 को फांसी हो गई क्या रेप में फांसी दी जाएगी 3 लड़के हैं गलती हो जाती है.
The reference context was that capital punishment that should not be for the boys. So in that context, he was saying that ladke to ladke hote hain, galti ho jati hai. And that thing is still used to attack Samajwadi Party by BJP even today. But he never regretted that. Never said that, no, I was wrong. I shouldn't have said that. No, he didn't withdraw. So that happened.
Okay, so we have talked about 2 of his chief ministerial stints, but the third time he became the chief minister was in 2003. And that was the time when he initiated a bunch of social welfare schemes. One was the unemployment allowance of 500 rupees per month, and the other one was the Kanya Vidya Dhan scheme to help poor girl students, which the Samajwadi Party in some form has still continued. But besides this, he was also elected to the parliament 7 times. And in his first term as MP, he served as the Union Defence Minister for 2 years in the United Front government. What were some of the highlights of that?
So actually, that time, what he used to say as defense minister, and even later also, even 2-3 years back also, that he always used to say that China is the biggest enemy of India, which actually earlier people used to, laugh at it. Why he always speak about China and not about Pakistan? So people used to say that since Muslims are his voters, that's why he doesn't talk about Pakistan. But actually later on, it came out. And even Akhilesh Yadav refers it still now. His father had said it and now country can see how China is doing.
Okay, so we have talked about his political career, but one thing that really bothered him about his personal life was that towards the end, there were a lot of differences within his family. Could you talk about that a bit?
So Actually, Mulayam Singh Yadav is a man who always supported not only the outsiders, within the family, he brought so many people. I mean, Shipal Yadav, his brother, Ram Gopal Yadav, his cousin. Then he brought in nephew, Dharminder Yadav, and then Tej Pratap Yadav, his grandnephew. So they all became MPs or MLAs. So he always wanted the family to live together, to fight together, to live together in politics as well. But after 2012, when Akhilesh Yadav became chief minister, so then it started within the family. I mean, Shipal Yadav, he was not happy because he wanted that liberty in the party, because he also said that he always was with Mulayam Singh Yadav. So gradually what happened, Ram Gopal Yadav started getting close to Akhilesh Yadav, and Shipal Yadav, his uncle, so he was a bit distanced. So it was a power struggle actually within the family to grab the power, and it came out in public. It was like washing dirty linen in public. It was in 2016 when in a public meeting there was a fight within the family, was seen on the stage. Akhilesh Yadav snatching mic from Mulayam Singh Yadav on the stage in full public view. That happened in party office in Lucknow.
कि अमर सिंह ने मेरे बारे में लिखवाया कि मैं औरंगजेब हूं और नेताजी शाहजहां हैं, और टाइम्स ऑफ इंडिया के फ्रंट अखबार पे लिखवाया, और ये आशु मलिक देखिए ये झूठ है, मुख्यमंत्री झूठ बोल रहे, मुख्यमंत्री झूठ, मैं नहीं बोलूंगा।
Then the biggest one happened on January 1st, 2017, when Ram Gopal Yadav proposed a national executive. Suddenly happened in Janeshwar Mishra Park. That is historical. That happened in Lucknow, and Ram Gopal Yadav proposed name of Akhilesh Yadav as a national president, removing Mulayam Singh Yadav, the man who founded the party.
ये अधिवेशन सर्वसम्मति से उत्तर प्रदेश के माननीय मुख्यमंत्री श्री अखिलेश यादव जी को समाजवादी पार्टी का अध्यक्ष, राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष चुनता है।
So Ram Gopal Yadav proposed Akhilesh Yadav's names and he became national president. Shipal Yadav was removed from the party. And then Mulayam Singh Yadav went to election commission, against his own son, Akhilesh Yadav, getting back the post of national president, saying that he cannot be national president like this. But finally, Akhilesh Yadav won, and again the family reunited. I must say, not family, the father-son reunited. But that warmth within the family, that had gone. And gradually, Mulayam Singh Yadav, started distancing himself from active politics. Though he won the elections in 14 and he won the Lok Sabha election in 19 as well. But he was broken from inside because of the family differences.
And Bhupendra, having covered Mulayam's career for so many years, what do you think he will be most remembered for?
Though it is very common now, all the parties, including the ruling party, they all are doing caste politics only. But Mulayam Singh is a man actually who brought social engineering in elections. When in 1993, he joined hands with BSP, Kanshiram. So that was called social engineering, that it started then only. And that social engineering helped Mayawati to get majority in 2007. That social engineering helped Akhilesh Yadav to bag majority in 2012. And that social engineering helped BJP in 2017 to get the majority. So that credit goes to Mulayam Singh Yadav to bring social engineering in politics in elections.
And next we talk about the army. Last week, 2 incidents took place that led to the death of 3 army personnel. The first one was a helicopter crash in the northeast, and the second one involved a barrel burst, and it led to the death of 2 army personnel. These incidents have now been talked about quite a bit in the army circles, and have once again shined a spotlight on the way the army investigates these cases. In this segment, Indian Express's Aman Singh Chhina joins us to talk about this issue. Manaman, let's start by talking about the first incident. This happened in Arunachal Pradesh near the Tawang region and led to the death of 1 pilot. What do we know about what happened there?
Well, it is not yet known how exactly this helicopter crashed. There is some speculation, but a court of inquiry has been ordered, and it is not yet known that what led to this machine crashing on the ground. There are, of course, variety of aspects which have to be kept in mind. For example, the weather. In the Northeast, the weather is notorious for, playing a role in helicopter crashes and, of course, fixed-wing aircraft crashes. Then, of course, there is the element of technical malfunction, and then there is the element of human error of the air crew. So all these aspects have to be taken into consideration. As of now, it is not known what exactly caused this crash.
Okay, so this was one incident, and the other incident happened near Jhansi in Madhya Pradesh, where there was a barrel burst in a tank. Could you talk about that incident?
Yes, here in this case, there was a T-90 armored regiment equipped with T-90 tanks, which was exercising near Babina, which is, of course, a military cantonment near Jhansi in Madhya Pradesh. And during the course of field firing at a range, the barrel of this tank burst, which led to injuries to the driver and death of the commander of the tank, who was the Naib Subedar, and death of a gunner who sits next to the commander in the tank. So it's a three-crew tank. So out of the three, two died and one was injured. So now barrel bursts is not a very common phenomenon, but we cannot say that it is very rare also. It has been happening at frequent intervals in the army. It has happened in artillery guns also, and it has happened with T-90 as well as T-72 tanks also. Here again, there are a couple of aspects which have to be kept in mind as to why it happens. It could either be because of some metallurgical reasons. There could be a weakening of the metal which forms part of the barrel, or it could also be a cause of poor maintenance of the barrel or defective ammunition. So all these aspects have again to be investigated by the court of inquiry, which has been ordered by the army. The last such incident of a T-92 tank barrel burst happening took place in Pokhran in 2019 in Rajasthan, where again during a field firing exercise, the barrel burst, causing the death of a soldier.
And Manaman, how common are fatalities during field exercises in the army, and do they raise any particular concern?
Well, accidents during active training with active ammunition are known to happen and they can cause casualties. However, if an accident is happening repeatedly over a period of time, then of course it has to be investigated deeply and the reasons for it have to be known. So, if barrels of artillery guns or of tanks are bursting over a period of time, then of course there has to be a detailed investigation into why this is happening. The cause has to be identified and remedial measures have to be taken. As far as the army is concerned, they always take into account the fact that when you are doing live firing exercises and when you are undertaking such exercises in the field, there are chances that something could go wrong and therefore there could be casualties. However, everything is done under a controlled circumstances and everything is well planned. However, if still something goes wrong, then of course a detailed investigation takes place.
Right, and you mentioned that a court inquiry has been ordered. But the other thing you mention in your piece is that not a lot is known about what exactly goes into these inquiries, right? There is a lot of opaqueness to them. So talk about that a bit.
Yes, and the opaqueness in military aviation inquiries, particularly which I have mentioned in my column, that is a major issue because while the Air Force or the Army or the Navy is very quick to say that we have ordered a court of inquiry, seldom, or rather I would say almost never, the results of these inquiries put out in public domain or informed to the public that, what was the actual cause. Now, in some cases, it may be important to withhold information because that may be very classified and in nature, and therefore inimical forces to the country must not come to know about those reasons. But in wide majority of cases, for example, if the helicopter has crashed into the terrain, has hit a mountain, or has been lost in the sea, then of course, there has to be some reason because of which it has happened. If you look at Western countries, or for example, let us take the US, they put out all the detailed inquiry reports in the public domain. They do not hide anything. If it is the pilot's fault, or if it's the equipment fault, if it is the weather, if it was unforeseen circumstances, they spell it out and they put it out. Unfortunately, this does not happen in India. And at times, even the families of those who have died, the pilots or the crews or the passengers, they are left high and dry because they don't know what happened. I am in touch with the father of one of the pilots of an army aviation helicopter who died last year in a crash in Pathankot after the helicopter hit the water in the Ranjit Sagar Dam. He has been running from pillar to post to find out what exactly went wrong. Why did his son die and another pilot die in that crash? But the army is not giving him that information because they say that the proceedings of the court of inquiry are classified.
And have there been attempts to change this procedure to bring more transparency into the system?
No, there have been no attempts, neither from inside the services themselves nor from the outside. Nobody has really worked on it in detail, as a result of which the status quo continues. And these inquiries remain under wraps, though there are veteran flyers, veteran pilots of the three services who have lately started speaking out and urging the military that these causes of the crash should be revealed. And in fact, this started after the unfortunate death of General Bipin Rawat, the previous CDS, his wife, and several other people in the helicopter crash near Wellington, Tamil Nadu. So after that, there was a considerable debate in the social media where veteran military flyers demanded that the cause of the crash should be revealed.
And in the end, we talk about the Mahakaleshwar corridor. Yesterday, Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Mahakaleshwar corridor, which has been constructed in the Ujjain district of Madhya Pradesh at the cost of 350 crore rupees. Now, this corridor is part of the expansion, beautification, and decongestion of the Mahakaleshwar temple and its adjoining areas in Ujjain. Under this plan, the temple, which right now has the premises of 2.82 hectares, is going to be increased to 47 hectares. According to the administration, the project is expected to increase annual footfall in the city from the current 1.5 crore to nearly 3 crore. Mahakaleshwar, which means the Lord of Time, refers to Lord Shiva. As per Hindu mythology, the temple was constructed by Lord Brahma and is presently located alongside the holy river Shipra. Mahakaleshwar Jyotirlinga in Ujjain is one of the 12 Jyotirlingas considered the most sacred by Shiv worshippers. Also, Indian Express's Iram Siddiqui writes that this project has become the most recent bone of contention between the ruling BJP and the opposition Congress. At a special cabinet held in Ujjain last month, Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan credited his government for conceptualizing the project in 2017 and accused the Congress government, which came to power in 2018, of putting the project in cold storage. Meanwhile, countering Chauhan's claim, State Congress President Kamal Nath said that in August 2019, his government drew the sketch of the Mahakal temple and allocated 300 crore rupees for it. He also said that a 3-member ministerial committee was appointed to finalize and execute the plan in a time-bound manner. You were listening to 3 Things by the Indian Express. Today's show was written and produced by me, Shashank Bhargava, and was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it. Share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.